In the beginning, Disney dominated the world of animation. But presently, as the success of their animated features continues to fluctuate, the House of Mouse has started to lean towards their live-action features. Word on the grapevine is that their next step is to convert their more popular animated properties into live-action movies. It's only a matter of time before they try to adapt the greatest animated show they've ever made. It's time to rise again and voice the rage of fanboys everywhere. In a world of uncertainty, where movie theaters are plagued by remakes and sequels, in a world where big-budget movies can still suck, in this world we have the Blockbuster Buster. Fanboys and fangirls, I'm ERod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster, and welcome to the casting couch. As far as I'm concerned, there's only been 3 truly great animated shows this past decade. The 3 that are the golden standard by which all animated shows should be measured by. And those 3 shows are Batman the Animated Series, Animaniacs, and Gargoyles. Greg Weisman's Gargoyles followed the chronicles of the last living clan of Gargoyles, who were betrayed by the humans they swore to protect and turned to stone back in medieval times. But they were resurrected in the present by the wealthy and powerful David Xanatos, cursed to be statues by day, sworn to be defenders by night. They are the Moonlight Guardians. They are Gargoyles. This is one of those few shows that I absolutely love that I feel completely comfortable recommending to people. This was a sophisticated action fantasy drama that never took its audience for granted and always focused on the characters and their development as opposed to selling toys. Now, everybody that talks about the show loves to point out how most of the characters are voiced by former Star Trek cast members. Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, and Michael Dorn, just to name a few. But everybody misses the Stan connection. What, you don't see it? Lara Sanyakamo, Bill Fagerback, and Matt Frewer. Oh yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it, nostalgia critic. Now, before we get started, I want to make it clear that if they were to make this movie, I probably wouldn't be too excited about it if the characters were computer animated. I don't hate this technology, but I just feel that it's greatly abused nowadays. What I do want to see is live action actors wearing elaborate prosthetics and elaborate makeup bringing these characters to life. So let's get the show on the road with the last gargoyle to join the cast, Angela. At first, Angela was nothing more than an expository character, as she was the last character to be introduced to the modern world. But she slowly became the boisterous optimist of the group, as the rest of the gargoyles had become desensitized by the present-day ideals, and Angela refused to let go of her medieval codes of chivalry and self-sacrifice. And to play her, I choose Summer Glau. On top of being a great young actor, Summer also happens to be a ballerina and a martial artist. She has both the grace and the strength to bring Angela to life. Plus, she has a magnificent talent for looking at things like she's seeing them for the first time.
Hey, Angie! Wait up!
Oh, and another thing. Stop calling me Angie!
Got it. No problem. Angela, it is.
Alright, let's move on to the trio, the 3 young gargoyles that will one day lead the clan. And let's start with the biggest and the baddest, Broadway. Broadway is one of us. He is very much a fanboy. He loves movies, video games, and LARPing. Yes, LARPing. He is a mythical warrior beast, and yet he still daydreams about being his favorite movie characters. Come on, now that's funny. At his core, Broadway's a big, huggable teddy bear who can rip your fucking face off! So my choice to play him would be Abraham Bernoulli. Better known as Nurse Markovic on ER, some of you hardcore fanboys might also remember Abe as Kubiak on Parker Lewis Can't Lose. So we know he can be a tough guy and a lovable, sensitive guy. But what about the humorous side of Broadway's personality? Well, for that, check out Abe's performance as Olaf the Evil Troll.
Barmaid, bring me stronger ale and some plump, succulent babies to eat.
Babies.
You don't get off that easy, pal.
Let's let's move on to the brains of the operation, Lex. Yes, Lex is a token tech guy. He also happens to be the gargoyle who longs to be part of humanity the most, as he devotedly admires our progression and ingenuity. And who better to play Lex than Frankie Muniz? Yes, Frankie has done his share of embarrassing movies, but people seem to forget that he was the lead character on one of the funniest shows ever. But not only did he play a genius with good comedic timing, but on a regular basis he would hold his own playing opposite to masters like Kenneth Mars and Cloris Leachman. And that's all Lex needs, brains and a good disposition.
They always fall for that trick.
Moving on to Goliath's second in command, Brooklyn. He is cool, he's intense, and he's eager to prove himself. But interestingly enough, he is in no hurry to replace Goliath. Brooklyn has a lot of inner turmoil, and he is often unsure if he was Goliath's best choice to be second in command. And who better to play a conflicted young hero than Jason Doran? Most of you may remember Jason as Logan Eccles, the villainous love interest of Kristen Bell and Veronica Mars. Jason would steal every scene that he was in Veronica Mars, as he methodically displayed the inner struggle of a young man who had been traumatized by the death of the girl he loved. Was he sad? Yes. Was he bad? Yes. Was he good? Yes. Was he funny? Oh, hell yes.
I think my father has a similar philosophy. Yeah. Of course, he's a murderer, so...
And if I was an ancient gargoyle warrior, that's pretty much the type of guy I would want on my side.
Hey, it's all part of the look.
Next up is the gargoyle's liaison to the human world, Detective Elisa Massa. Now, everybody likes to claim that Elisa is the April O'Neil of this show, which is a fair assessment. But there is one major difference between the two characters. While April was very much the damsel in distress in the original Ninja Turtles cartoon, Elisa very rarely needed to be rescued. In fact, she was the one who was often saving the gargoyles' asses. Being half black and half Native American, she's the first interracial cartoon character I ever remember seeing. But the one facet of her character that everybody seems to be obsessed with is the show's allusion to her being romantically involved with Goliath. Some even say they have a Beauty and the Beast thing going on. I don't see it.
Tale as old as time, true as it can be.
Huh. And who better to play a badass chick that loves a misunderstood hero than Rosario Dawson? Beautiful, tough, witty.
All that shit they feed us in the movies and greeting cards is just propaganda to get us to marry, have kids, and keep the economy going. Marriage is just the keystone to economics.
I rest my case.
Hey!
Neat toy, huh?
Yeah, slow it down or I'll give you a ticket.
Let's move on to one of the villains, the immortal gargoyle hunter, Macbeth. No, he is in no way connected to the Shakespeare play. He is simply an immortal Scottish warrior. No, not that kind, but close. He made a bargain with the three sisters to gain immortality, to better protect his kingdom. But he experienced the reverse repercussions of Goliath and his clan. As he was betrayed by a gargoyle he went on to name Demona. And thus, he has dedicated his eternal life to hunting gargoyles, and he's pretty damn good at it. And who better to play a Scottish badass than my favorite Scottish badass, Billy Connolly. Now, Billy's more famous for being a comedic actor, so when I first saw him as the ultra-intimidating assassin Das Duce in Boondock Saints, I didn't recognize him. Now that's talent. He can make you laugh and he can make you...
Shit, my European cut Speedos!
I'm afraid we must refuse.
And not stoop so low as to attack you while you slept.
Now it's time for one of the greatest villains ever created, the Angel of the Night, Demona. Formerly Goliath's mate and second in command, Demona's motivations for going against Gargoyle Code are quite simple. She hates humans. And with good reason, after all, humans hate and loathe gargoyles. In fact, I'm surprised the rest of the gargoyles don't feel the same way. But alas, they are like samurai and they live to serve. Demona is everything a good villain should be. A con artist, a terrorist, a schemer, and sadly misunderstood.
The access code is alone.
And my choice to play her would be Elizabeth Hurley. Now, while there is a part of me that feels that it would be a crime against humanity to cover up Elizabeth Hurley in heavy makeup, my more sensible side knows that she is perfect to play the devious and enticing Angel of the Night. Plus, I think Elizabeth would jump at the opportunity to play a villain that is in every way the equal to her heroic counterpart.
Goliath, so good of you to join us.
Up next is the mentor of the team, the old soldier, Hudson. The former leader of the clan, Hudson, stepped aside to let Goliath take over, but this old dog has plenty of fight left in him. And who meets these attributes better than Brendan Gleeson? He's played an epic warrior, a zombie, and a wizard. Frankly, a gargoyle would be a walk in the park for an actor of his caliber.
I know something you don't. Something that comes only with age. I know how to wait.
No!
Alright, now it's time for the main event. The main hero and villain of the piece. The literal David and Goliath of this epic tale. Let's start with the villain that is so bad he makes it look good. David Xanatos. Xanatos is the billionaire mastermind that brought the Gargoyles back to life in hopes of exploiting them. In the same way that Elisa gets compared to April O'Neil, Xanatos gets a lot of comparisons to Lex Luthor. Yes, they are both geniuses, businessmen, and they are both prone to throw on high-tech battle armor to duke it out with their adversaries. So what's the difference? Luthor has a boiling point, Xanatos doesn't. And that's the most infuriating thing about him. You can't piss him off. No matter what you do, or how hard you try, he always has an ace under his sleeve. And whatever you're doing right now, it's probably part of his plan. But he is so fucking charismatic and sly that it's nearly impossible to hate him. So who would I choose to play a pretty boy billionaire mastermind? Billy Zane. Some seem to forget that Billy played one of the most slimy, spoiled bastards to ever be committed to film. Throw in some of that smooth demeanor from the Collector in Demon's Night, and you've got Xanatos.
Pay a man enough, and he'll walk barefoot into hell.
And now the world's greatest warrior, Goliath. He is the very definition of the displaced hero. While the other gargoyles become easily assimilated to modern culture, Goliath is an old soul and remains ever stoic and regal, like Captain America. Now, Goliath is voiced by Keith David, and as far as I'm concerned, the character and the voice are a perfect match, in the same vein as Lorenzo Music with Garfield and Peter Cullen with Optimus Prime. So I'm not even going to try to think of an actor to match Keith David's voice. Instead, I'm going to concentrate on performance. So my choice to play this very reserved but imposing warrior is Ray Stevenson. Now here's a guy that makes you believe that he's been through hell and back, who makes you feel like he's about to rip out your spine by just looking at the scowl on his face. And yet, he can be surprisingly fatherly if the situation calls for it. But don't fuck with his kids! So those were my choices for the casting of the Gargoyles movie. If you disagree with any of them, feel free to voice your opinion. For now, I will leave you with your choices on who you think should play the reserved members of the Justice League. If you don't like any of them, you can't complain because they were your choices. Next week is back to basics. Until then, I'm ERod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Check out my website, suckers!